What if the Earth lost its mightiest heroes? Would there still be a glimmer of hope in the end? What did you think of this episode? Let's talk about it. Welcome to Durbania. I'm Durbin, and this is my spoiler talk review for Marvel's What If Episode 3. I don't know about you, but I'm really enjoying this series so far, and I thought this episode, What If the World Lost Its Mightiest Heroes, I thought this was a very interesting, very well done episode. My initial reaction is I was just drawn in beginning to end. I kind of liked the murder mystery aspect of it. Once it was revealed in the end who the murderer was, it's like, well, that should have been obvious. And for some reason, it just wasn't. But then I watched it a second time and it's like, oh my gosh, that should have been just so completely obvious to me, but it was still really interesting how they did it. One of the other things that I just really liked is that acknowledgement of Nick Fury's busy week. Because, you know, in 1 week, you had Iron Man 2, The Incredible Hulk, and Thor. Like, on the timeline, those three films converged in the same week. So it was really cool to get that acknowledgement. Also, I am a fan of The Incredible Hulk. I thought that movie was pretty good. It's not the best in the MCU, but I really do enjoy it. So it was very cool to have this show really acknowledge that that film is part of the MCU. That is the MCU's, I guess not Hulk origin, but the first time the world actually sees the Hulk. So I really like them acknowledging that, putting that in there. It was kind of interesting to have Mark Ruffalo in animated form. I mean, the moment that door opened, he popped into the scene. At first, it was a little bit weird because it's the Incredible Hulk. So what I'm used to seeing is Edward Norton as Bruce Banner in Incredible Hulk. And I like Edward Norton. He did a great job as Bruce Banner, but I also really like Mark Ruffalo. And he's great as Bruce Banner and Hulk throughout the rest of the MCU. So it was a little bit like, whoa. But then I got used to it pretty quick because I do like the continuity. A consistent Bruce Banner throughout the MCU. So I liked its acknowledgement of the Incredible Hulk, and I did like that it was Mark Ruffalo in this episode. So that was kind of interesting. So I enjoyed those little things that they did in this episode that really brought us back into the universe and the timeline that we know, and then showed us the branch, where everything branched off in a different direction. So all of that I thought was really cool. Now, I know it's called What If the World Lost Its Mightiest Heroes, but still, when you had Stark in the donut, and Nick Fury shows up, and Black Widow injects him in the neck, you know, when he keeled over dead, it still completely shocked me. I was like, what? Are you serious? So right here in Iron Man 2, he doesn't get past this point of his character arc, of his journey. There's all kinds of negative ramifications for that, and we really got to see those negative ramifications. And it's funny because at first, I thought it was an allergic reaction to the medicine, and it's like, oh, okay, I guess it's something simple. They didn't check to see if he had allergies. But it's interesting when Black Widow goes to Betty Ross, because that's where you find out it wasn't the medicine that they were injecting in him that did anything to him, but there was a projectile that came out of the head of the needle. Again, a moment where it should have been really obvious who was doing this, who was the actual killer. And also the difference with Nick Fury, because now you really see, like, when he was saying, I got other things going on in my world in Iron Man 2, and you are not the center of my universe. I mean, think about it. When Stark survived, he had to stay in California and deal with Stark. But now that Stark is dead, it sets him on a different path, and now he's in New Mexico with Coulson and Thor. So that was cool to get that different perspective and to have Nick Fury there. And the introduction of Hawkeye. Now that was interesting because as Thor is reaching for the hammer and he's about to shoot Thor, or you know, really just saying, you let me know when, but then that lightning strike and the arrow flies, I was agreeing with Hawkeye. I was like, that dude doesn't make mistakes like that. He's got perfect aim. He doesn't accidentally let go. And I didn't think he was the killer. Like, there was no part of me that went, this guy's the killer in this universe, but it was like, how could that have happened? And if there is a killer, how could the killer get Hawkeye to let go of the bowstring and send the arrow flying at Thor? And then I went, wait, how did Thor die? Oh, that's right. He's being humbled right now. This is his lesson. He's walking the earth as a mortal, so he really is dead. I did you think this was funny? Agent Coulson saying, wow, he's got really great hair. I mean, gorgeous. It's not a bad description. Like, I thought that was pretty hilarious. You know, carrying on that joke from Infinity War when Guardians of the Galaxy see him and they are all amazed at how good looking he is.
You're a dude. Just This is a man. It's like a pirate had a baby with an angel.
That was really funny. I enjoyed that aspect. But then when you have Fury walk into the interrogation room and Hawkeye is dead, this is when I'm getting mad. Because I'm like, all right, I don't understand how this is working. Obviously, this is some sort of superpowered person somehow. The Invisible Man. Can they walk through walls? And again, it's one of those moments where this should have been obvious, but I was really sad Clinton Barton was dead. But you're seeing it. It's the Avengers Initiative. This person is going through the Avengers Initiative checklist and checking it off. And I'm like, no, these are my heroes. And then Loki shows up. Oh my gosh. And it makes total sense. Odin is in the Odin sleep. Therefore, Loki is sitting on the throne, sort of filling in for him. I guess this interrupts Loki's plan to destroy Jotunheim, but maybe it doesn't. Maybe he just does that anyway at a different point. But Odin is in his Odin sleep, and now Thor is dead. And because Loki is sitting on the throne with no opposition from Thor, and now Thor's friends are probably really ticked off that Thor died on Midgard, so he's probably not going to get any objections from them, so they come in full force, obeying and following Loki. He's finally got the throne that he's always wanted. And now, with all the power of Asgard's might and military behind him, he comes to Earth. That was an interesting look. And the Loki who takes the cube, had that whole branch reality, was going through the TVA. Oh, that Loki would have been very happy to see this Loki's destiny. I'm telling you what. So that was really interesting to have Loki arrive, the deal that he makes with Nick Fury. Now, I loved going back to Incredible Hulk and then having that huge battle right there on the college campus. But when Hulk just explodes, my reaction was the same as Betty Ross. This dude can't die. What was in the bullet that went into him as a human and then somehow blew him up from the inside when he becomes Hulk? How do you kill the Hulk even from the inside out? Isn't he the strongest Avenger, invincible inside and out? So then to get that reveal that it was Hank Pym, and he was really small, he went inside and he threw that enlarging thing at his heart and it grew and blew him up. I had this epiphany. The most powerful Avenger is Ant-Man. I mean, he was my least favorite hero when this started. Like, I could have cared less about Ant-Man. But then I had a lot of fun with Paul Rudd, and it was great. But the more you look at Ant-Man and study it, he is the most powerful and the most dangerous. I mean, even a look at this what if. He destroyed the Hulk by going inside and enlarging his heart. That's insane. Now, I'm kind of curious. If you've read the comics, would he still have exploded? I could see how he would die. You know, with the heart being that disproportionate out of place, I could see how he would die. But would the Hulk really explode? Probably. So not only did the Hulk die, and that was shocking, it's also shocking to see just how incredibly powerful Hank Pym is in that Ant-Man suit. And I should have seen it. Should have seen it when Black Widow was fighting the Invisible Man. But that was literally the thought in my head. She's fighting the Invisible Man. But when you go back and you watch it a second time, you see how the gun is being knocked out of her hand, how she's being tossed around. It's exactly what happens in Ant-Man, where you have them getting really small and beating up people. Like, that's exactly what happens. And so I should have caught it all. I should have seen it even there. But it's interesting, and I like how they did this, because you have Black Widow, and she's being drug away to her death, yelling into Nick Fury's voicemail. It's all about Hope. Hope Van Dyne. That she became an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., and she died, and now you have Hank Pym, her father, coming out in force, in vengeance, to take out Nick Fury, to take out the Avengers, because Nick Fury pumped her head full of dreams, and because of that, she lost her life, and so he blames Nick, and he's out for vengeance. That was interesting, and it was interesting to see him in the Yellow Jacket outfit. So he must have worked with Cross, created the Yellow Jacket outfit, and Hank himself became the Yellow Jacket. That kind of blows my mind. But it shows what vengeance and bitterness does, because what it really did is it made everything worse. Because now Loki decided to stay. Now there's no Avengers. There's no force to oppose him in Asgard or on Earth, and he takes over the Earth. That's why God says, vengeance is mine. So Hank Pym is driven by vengeance. He's driven by anger. He's driven by unforgiveness. It's poisoned him. It's completely corrupted him, and he's already got the pain of his wife being gone, not realizing she's in the quantum realm. And so he acts out of total vengeance, and he destroys the Avengers, and they fall before they ever have the chance to rise. So now there's no opposition, and Loki has the throne of Asgard and the throne of Midgard. Like, that dude is king, and he's king the way he always wanted to be, even giving his speech that you were all made to be ruled. So I'm here to fulfill your destiny. Gosh. Now, the other thing that's interesting is remembering how it messed with the brain chemistry, and that's why you have to wear the helmet, and that's also why Hank Pym didn't want to put the suit on in the Ant-Man movie, because he'd already done it too much, and so he didn't want it to mess with his mind and alter his brain chemistry.
The process is highly volatile. If one isn't protected by a specialized helmet, it can affect the brain's chemistry.
So if you look at his eyes, I mean, the dude is insane. So yes, I think bitterness and vengeance have consumed him and driven him to this point. But you can also definitely tell that his brain chemistry has been altered and messed up by putting this suit on again, and probably messed up even more with the yellow jacket. But what I love is the fact that Hope is still alive even at the end. Not Hope Van Dyne, but Hope itself. Because Nick Fury finds Captain America, and then Captain Marvel arrives. And so even though we don't have the Avengers as we know them, you know some Avengers are going to rise up. And you know what I want? I want to see that movie trilogy. I want to see the trilogy where you have Loki taking over the world, the other Avengers are dead, now we get Captain America, we have Captain Marvel, who else is going to join that team, and how are they going to rise up and fight for the world's freedom against Loki? That would be a fascinating trilogy, and I'd love to see it. So as a whole, I thought this was a fantastic episode. I think What If is a very interesting show, a very interesting look at all the different possibilities. What did you think of this episode? Do you agree with me? Did you really enjoy it? Are there things about it that you really disliked? Let's talk about that in the comments. While you're there, hit the subscribe button to become a Durbanian, and hit the bell by the subscribe button so you're notified for my very next What If review, Marvel review, movie review, theological analysis, or anything else I do here. I'm Durbin. Thanks for checking out Durbania.